To environmental issues now, according to research, nearly 80,000 tons of plastic is leaking into our oceans and rivers each year. Now, that's about 3% of the country's plastic waste. Well, let's bring in Danone South Africa's Head of Corporate Affairs, eNCA, into the conversation. Why, of course, because very important as we now take a look at what is today World Recycling Day, or Global Recycling Day. Hello to you, Leanne. I hope you can still hear me okay. So the importance when we talk about 3% of plastic ends up in our oceans and rivers. That's all our own doing, isn't it? It's a devastating fact we have to address, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Thank you for the opportunity, Gareth, and to wish everybody out there a happy Global Recycling Day. And that's exactly what this moment in the calendar is all about, is bringing attention to the global issue and the South African issue that is poor management and use of plastics, and talking about how everybody has a role to play in influencing recycling and driving a circular economy. And I think you'll learn today that with a few small steps by different stakeholders, all the way from consumers, all the way to our authorities and regulators, we all play a part in helping to change the situation.
And I think we need to address right off the bat, Leanne, that as Danone, many people will know the products such as yogurt, etc., do come in plastic containers. But it's not about not using that. It's about responsible recycling and responsible disposal of that, isn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, you know, the message that plastic is really negative is kind of an unfounded, unrealistic message. So remember that plastic packaging is actually really important because it holds the integrity of the product that you're buying in a way that makes sure the product stays safe, all the quality credentials are still intact. And so by the time you get to enjoy that product as a consumer, that outer packaging has played a really important part to make sure it's still safe to eat. But to your point, what is absolutely critical is to make sure that there is an end-of-life solution for that plastic. So it should not end up in a landfill. It should not end up in nature or just litter, but rather it should have a considered end-of-life solution. And it's actually the responsibility of manufacturers like Danone to make sure that they are designing with recyclability in mind when we produce our products and put them onto the market. And I'm really happy to share that as of this moment, 99% of the packaging that we produce is already recyclable. And we are rolling out projects extensively to educate consumers, learners, parents, caregivers, all about plastic recycling so that they can really help push that circular economy.
I don't want to make the assumption for anyone watching, Leanne, that everyone knows how to prevent plastics getting into landfills. Let's imagine it's an ordinary household. They've enjoyed a product that has come in a plastic bottle. Maybe it's a bottle of water or cool drink, whatever it is. Most of us just throw it into the dustbin. It gets collected by the local council. How do we as consumers do better than that? How do we know it's not ending up on a landfill? What do we look out for?
Yes, please do. So Danone is asking consumers to really choose well. And what does that mean? First of all, you have power as a consumer when you're doing your shopping already at the shelf point to check the packaging and check if you're buying something recyclable or not. That information is available on the label. And remember that you have power in that regard. So if you choose something which is recyclable or refuse to buy something which isn't, that ultimately sends a nudge back to your manufacturer and it will make a difference. All right, so now you've purchased your product, you've gone home, you've made a nice dinner for yourself. And while you're cooking the dinner, sort of keep all the packaging that you use to, I don't know, the tins of food, the packaging that you use to prepare your supper, keep it aside. And simply while you're washing your dishes, you need to rinse it through the water that you're washing your dishes with. Don't use extra water because we're trying to preserve water at the same time. And then the ask is that all of those which are recyclable, you keep in a transparent bag, it's sort of the size of a bin bag, but not the black ones, the transparent ones. And then you put that with your regular rubbish out on rubbish collection day. And what this does is that it really helps. Well, you've already helped assist now with the sorting process so that municipal collectors and even those, we call them our recycling heroes, but the waste pickers who you might be familiar with in your neighborhood, you've simplified the process for them to be able to collect that recycling more readily. It's already clean, it's much easier to support, And ultimately, you're supporting that whole circular economy ecosystem so much better. So yeah, that is a really tangible way that you can make a difference. And unfortunately, it's estimated that only around 7% of households in South Africa do that recycling procedure today. So if we bumped up, even doubled or tripled that amount, it would make a massive difference to the recycling behaviors we have.
And I imagine as well, when you're all doing our shopping and we just buy the regular black bags, just keep an eye out for those clear plastic bags that you're talking about. It's another plastic bag that you've got to try and get into your house, another little dustbin somewhere. Try and be more responsible with this. I'm curious though, so that's the home. You've spoken about the plastic pickers in a case like this, who I do think are doing a wonderful, wonderful job. I really hope someone watching can formalize that sector one day, but that's a different discussion, Leanne, for a different day. Industry-wise, how much of an impact, how much of a difference is it making when big industry like Danone is going through these sort of recycling changes? How much are you helping save the environment? Give me some stats.
Well, the impact is absolutely huge. And as I've said, it's actually a corporate responsibility. It's not a CSI project. It's not, something you do as a side stream. It's business strategy to make sure that you're designing your product with recyclability in mind. We have a great example of an extended producer responsibility project that Danone launched actually back in 2021. It's called the NutriDay Tubs to Classrooms project, which involves that we go to schools and we teach learners about the importance of recycling and the value of waste. And so after they've enjoyed their delicious yogurt in their lunch boxes, we teach them to clean that yogurt tub, so remove any excess residue, and then collect the yogurt tubs and keep them aside. And in turn, Danone, in partnership with its upcycling partners, will convert those yogurt tubs into lightweight bricks. And again, those bricks can be used to build resources, structures, classrooms, libraries, learning centers for communities in need. And so it's a really important and tangible message for a number of reasons. One, we're interacting with learners who in the future will become our recycling advocates and will, influence their communities around them. Two, diverting plastic from landfill, which, as you know, because we're talking about it today, is an ever critical issue. And three, at the same time of doing all those things, we are giving resources back to communities. And it's just really exciting because now that extended producer responsibility regulations have been published, the attention on the topic of recycling and the innovation on the topic of how you can repurpose your plastic into something useful is more than ever before. And so I believe we're at a start. There's a lot more to do, but certainly the recycling economy is on an upward trajectory, and corporates, together with their partners, have a huge role to play in influencing that.
Yeah, it's lovely to hear this kind of work being done. One plastic brick at a time can pave the way for the environment. Leanne, thank you very much indeed for joining us this afternoon. Wonderful to hear from an organisation like Danone, and that's why it's so important as well to ask the question about their own initiatives. But you'll know Danone, of course, well known for their yogurt products, etc., that do come in those plastic containers. But their head of corporate affairs for South Africa, Leanne Keyser, very clear on how Danone handles that and promotes recycling within their own organisation on an industry scale and also in private homes. That's actually where I'm going to say goodbye for